HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Great Departure, Mass Migration from Eastern Europe and the Making of the Free World, by Tara Zahra. Read by Elizabeth Wiley. Introduction. Not a Golden Country. Faustina Wisniewska was counting the days until she could return home. "I do not understand how the people there look upon this America," she wrote to her parents. "They think that a country like America is made of gold. This is not a golden country, but a new one. And here they exploit people as they did the Jews in Pharaoh's time, 12 hours' work a day." Faustina, a recent Polish immigrant, was not impressed by electric lights or by the Statue of Liberty. Assaulted by the sounds, sights, and foul smells of New York City, she moaned, "Oh, how lonely I am! Here you only hear the noise of thousands of people walking, of the whistling of factories, of the bells of trolleys, in place of nightingales and larks. Instead of roses, tulips, and lilacs, barrels of garbage and covered wagons, and stench instead of fresh air." She had abandoned any fantasy of prosperity, yet her parents constantly nagged her to send money home. She and her husband were living hand to mouth. "We cannot live on smelly meat, stale bread, musty cereals. To live in misery, or to kill myself in order to save a grosch? No, I am not that crazy to work myself to death." She refused on principle to sacrifice her few daily pleasures in order to support needy relatives. "I have already suffered a great deal myself, and I denied myself the eating of a good breakfast. Now I eat the best meat, the filet. There are those who send money to the old country, but they themselves live like animals." Faustina took part in one of the greatest migrations in human history. Between 55 and 58 million Europeans moved to North and South America in the period 1846 to 1940. At the peak of this exodus, in the first decade of the 20th century, Austria-Hungary was the top supplier of migrants to the United States, sending more than 2 million subjects of the dual monarchy through the gauntlet at Ellis Island. The Great Departure from Eastern Europe was not unique. Millions were on the move in other parts of the world as well. Between 48 and 52 million people, mostly from India and southern China, moved to Southeast Asia and to islands in the Indian Ocean and South Pacific between 1846 and 1940. Another 46 to 51 million people left northeastern Asia and Russia for Manchuria, Siberia, Central Asia, and Japan. Yet the movement out of Eastern Europe hollowed out villages with particularly dizzying speed. In 1907 alone, more than 300,000 people left the dual monarchy for the United States, the most ever to land on American shores from one country in a single year. Moans are uttered by people here because it seems that all of Europe is depopulating itself and is heading in droves for America, Faustina attested. When Faustina made her journey, the phenomenon of mass emigration from Eastern Europe was still relatively novel. Before the age of the steamship, the journey across the Atlantic was long, averaging 30 to 40 days, expensive and potentially deadly. But by 1890, when Faustina left home, transatlantic emigration was far less dangerous and somewhat more comfortable, even in steerage. Expanding railway lines and steamship routes reduced the time, cost, and risks of transatlantic travel, and narrowed the psychological distance between Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and America. The insatiable demand for cheap labor in North America's booming industrial cities fueled the growing transcontinental and transatlantic traffic in labor. And the erosion of feudal bonds and labor obligations in Eastern Europe unleashed millions of people from the villages or regions of their birth. By the turn of the 20th century,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?